So for Fire Force, I've decided to just review this series 3 episodes at a time, since the series generally doesn't have much going on aside from its action. This may be subject to change in the upcoming episodes if something big happens, but for now I'll just stick to this plan. Episode 1 is very lighthearted and generally just serves to reintroduce us to the cast of characters. We begin the episode with Shinra joining the girls on a shopping trip. We see that he now has a chip on his shoulder and is determined to unravel the mystery of the Adola bursts and combustions. The trip doesn't last very long, however, as an explosion is heard and the 8th engages an enemy. I have to say, I really enjoy this anime's action. Not only for the smooth animation, but for the unique sound design. I love the sound that the flames make. The 8th does away with the enemy without a hitch and is a spectacle to behold. You can tell the animators wanted to flex on the audience because the enemy just happened to have a core for everyone in the squad to destroy. I don't mind it though because action is what this anime excels at. By far the best part of this fight is Maki doing her little Dempsey roll and entering gorilla mode. That gave me a good chuckle. We later find out that the 8th is going to compete in a nude calendar competition. Yes, a nude calendar competition. We're shown some interesting pictures of the other squads and yeah, those boys were glistening. This was definitely a new vibe for the show, but it was really fun, so I don't mind. Aside from that, not too much happens in the first episode. Episode 2 begins with Shinra paying a visit to Squad 4. Here we're introduced to some of his acquaintances, but most importantly, he speaks to the squad captain. He's an odd guy to say the least. We learn that he's experienced Adola and seeks to experience it again. And because of this, he's a complete weirdo. During Shinra's conversation with the captain, we learned that an entity in Adola has begun to communicate with him and is attempting to seize control of him. This entity eventually succeeds by fueling Shinra's anger, and he ends up attacking Squad 4's captain. Luckily, Arthur arrives and is able to knock some sense into Shinra. Here we see a glimpse of Arthur at what is possibly the strongest we've ever seen him. His delusion of being a knight is so deep in this episode that he unlocks a whole other level of strength. He's so delusional, he begins using Squad 4's captain as a shield. My favorite part of this episode is when we get to witness Arthur's backstory. We learn that despite his delusions of grandeur, his family was actually relatively poor. They live in a very small apartment and the food they eat is bland and uninteresting. Arthur's sole escape from this lifestyle was his 2 loving parents. They teach him to appreciate the little things in life rather than dwell on the negative. By doing so, Arthur perceives his small apartment as a castle and his bland food as a feast for kings and queens. It's quite beautiful actually. One day, however, Arthur's parents leave and in a letter addressed to him, they say that he is now the king of their little castle. We're not given a reason as to why they left, but I'm assuming that will be told in one of the upcoming episodes. I love this entire scene because it provides characterization to Arthur. He's no longer just a delusional kid. We see that he acts this way because of the lessons his parents taught him, and that there's a little more depth to him than meets the eye. Moving on, I have to admit episode 3 is by far my least favorite episode. We're introduced to a new character named Inka. We're told that this girl is the next person that will awaken the Adola burst. I completely dislike this character for one simple reason. She acts as a stereotype rather than a full-fledged character. We're told that she enjoys danger because of her past, and that's fine, but that's literally all there is to her character. Every word that she utters has to do with this one trait. For instance, Demon Slayer did this with Zenitsu. We're told that Zenitsu lacks courage, and for the most part, he does. However, the payoff there is when he passes out, he becomes one of the strongest characters in the series. In Inka's case, they really just hit us over the head with the idea that she's just an adrenaline junkie and doesn't care for anyone but herself. They just linger on this awful trait for way too long. At one point in the episode, she asks for a conductor's baton because she thinks that the sounds of the explosions around town are beautiful. I just don't see a character like this joining our protagonists. Even her friends basically abandon her because they realize she's definitely got some screws loose. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's proceed. Inka unlocks her Adola burst and is then chased around town by Charon, a member of the Evangelists group. He's kind of a strange guy, but I really like his character. Anyway, Shinra is able to catch up to Inka and his fight against Charon begins. I really enjoyed every facet of this episode aside from Inka's character. I really hope next episode introduces pretty much anything else that can make her more likable. With that being said, if you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and yeah, peace out, bye.